All right, I had no plans on shooting this today, but I think it's something most of us, if not all of us, deal with the issue that I am looking to rectify today. And what I'm talking about is, have you ever noticed that the beginning of the mowing season, you're able to keep your grass green pretty much the entire time, right? But then there's a point in the mowing season where your grass starts to yellow after you mow, right? Like you mow it and a few hours later, or maybe the next morning, you notice that the grass is yellower than it was before you mowed it. Well, what happens is the sheath, stocky part of the grass just kind of gets taller and taller. That's the yellow part, right? The leaf material is the green stuff. That's the stuff we like, right? But what happens is that throughout the season, that shorter part, that stocky part, just grows into that area where you're maintaining your height of cut. So that's why at the beginning of the season, us folks with Bermuda, we scalp the lawn, we scalp it down, right? Now, whether you're rotary mowing or reel mowing, it doesn't matter. You always scalp lower than where you plan to maintain your height of cut. So for example, if you want to maintain your grass at 1 inch, then you scalp maybe at 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, so that it starts to grow leaf material from that point, and then you maintain at whatever height of cut you want, right? So for me, I like to maintain my lawn around 1/2 inch, in that ballpark, sometimes a little below, sometimes a little above. So that means that I scalp at about 1/4 of an inch, which is as low as this mower goes, right? And at that, some folks even have a hard time mowing that low because a lawn can be pretty bumpy. And so your goal is to get your lawn as smooth. You know, a lot of people say flat. A lot of people use the word flat, and really flat isn't the word. It's more smooth that you're going for. And so anyway, you've seen me do a little bit of leveling here, right? I have done some major leveling over the years, so my lawn is kind of on the smooth side. So I can scalp down to 1/4 of an inch, so I can maintain at 1/2 inch, right? And so what I'm starting to notice now is that, yes, after I mow, my lawn is looking a little yellower. So I normally don't scalp this late in the season, and I wouldn't recommend it either. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of doing a full out scalp where I'm bringing it down to dirt, right? I'm just gonna do a light scalp. And the word is reset, right? You're resetting your height of cut. And so right now I'm maintaining somewhere around 5/8 of an inch, right? I'm gonna scalp down to about 3/8 of an inch. So not all the way down, just bringing it down a little bit so I can come up to about 1/2 inch, a little bit above 1/2 inch. That's all I'm doing today, right? So let me add a little more context on why I am doing this. Once you start seeing that your turf loses its color after you mow, then you're faced with two choices. One is you can simply raise your height of cut. The higher cut will let the grass plant grow taller leaf material, which will let your lawn stay green after you mow. But just keep in mind that while this is an easy way to keep your lawn green now, it also means that there will be more grass to cut later when you do your spring scalp. More grass clippings just means more to clean up and more stuff to dispose of. The other choice you have is to do what I'm doing. You reset your lawn by cutting it down below where you want to maintain your height of cut. The trade-off with doing this is that you have to collect some clippings now, yes, but it'll let your lawn stay green at a lower height of cut once the turf recovers and grows new leaf material. One thing I use to my advantage that's worth mentioning is that I stopped applying my PGR about 2 weeks prior to this reset. Letting my grass come out of regulation means that my grass is rebounding right now from the suppression that it was under. So it's momentarily growing faster than it normally would. So the rebound effect from the PGR will help my turf grow in a little quicker. So there is the front yard. I've been out here maybe, I don't know, hour and 45 minutes or so, under 2 hours, just going in different passes, you know, different directions, dropping the height on the reel incrementally, little by little, little by little. And in case anybody's curious why it's incremental, the reel is spun by a belt, right? You know, kind of like what happens with a rotary mower too. You ever, whenever you mow through a tall, thick patch of grass, the motor just kind of bogs down. Same thing happens here, except it's more with the reel. When you get down to the yellow part of the plant, the stocky part, you know, that's pretty thick stuff. If it's too thick, the reel kind of slows down, and in some cases, if it's too thick, it even stops spinning. And you don't want that, because the reel might slow down or it might stop, but the belt, right, the axle, that keeps spinning, man. That belt keeps moving. And so, you know, you risk damaging, breaking a belt. You know, if anything, you're wearing your belt. And then on top of that, some of the homeowner models come with plastic gears. And so when the gears get hot, they melt, they can warp. You want to avoid that. So, you know, the solution is you just do multiple passes and you go lowering it little by little at a time till you get to where you want to get to. So what's basically happened again is was mowing here for visual representation purposes, right? I was mowing here. What I did is I took it from here down to here. So now what I need to do next time it's time to mow, I need to raise my height of cut from here, where I left the grass right now, to here, right? So from this point on, this is where the grass or the plant starts to grow leaf material, which is the green stuff. That's what we want, right? The same thing is going to happen in the backyard, except in the backyard, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be as aggressive because, and I've said this in a previous video, there's one big difference between my backyard and my front yard. The way my house sits, you know, sun rises over here. And so it's getting sun all day, man. I mean, right now it's, you know, just before 4 p.m. and it's still getting sun. It'll get sun for about another hour, hour and a half. The backyard, well, the sun has to clear the house. And then when it clears the house, it gets full sun, but then it gets to the trees, right? Which you've seen in footage before. So it doesn't get as much sunlight. Bermuda is a sunlight hog, right? Water and sunlight is really all Bermuda needs. Some fertilizer, yeah, to give it some color and keep it healthy, but water and sunlight, man, this thing is a beast. And so I don't need to be as aggressive in the back as I was in the front. And once I am done doing the backyard, the final step will be to just fertilize the lawn. I timed this little soft reset, soft scalp, with the next feeding. So once I'm done doing the back, I will fertilize with 111. I'll do my standard, you know, ammonium sulfate. I'll do some micronutrients, and then it's also time for the next sulfur application. So, and you know, and sulfur is considered a macronutrient, right? NPK-S. And so the lawn, now that it's been beat up and stressed a little bit, it's going to get a bunch of good stuff. And then I'll set up a long watering cycle overnight so that the grass can start taking in all this stuff and start working the sulfur and the NPK and the ammonium sulfate and the micronutrients. So it's Bermuda, man. You know, it's the thing about Bermuda is if it has sunlight, water, a little bit of fertilizer, it's in hog heaven. So I'll be back to mowing in no time. If you're somebody that's having, you know, the issue of where you're seeing your lawn yellow after you mow, you might want to do a soft little reset. Now, before I go, let me say this. I normally wouldn't recommend doing this late in the season. That's why I'm doing a soft reset. Normally, I do this in July, and I do a full out, scalp it down to the ground. And at that point, you can bring in some sand if you want to do some leveling, because with less grass, it's easier to spread the sand out. And this year, man, I just got too much stuff going on. I didn't do it, and I thought I could get away with not doing a reset. But if this trend of extreme heat continues, I have no problem. This will grow back in before it goes dormant. And that's really the only concern, is you just want to make sure you do this, whether it's a hard scalp or a soft scalp. You just want to make sure that you're doing it while you still have enough time in the season for the grass to grow back in and fill back in. at least to a normal level of density, right? You don't want to go into dormancy with really thin grass. But let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you found something in this video to be useful. Something, even the smallest thing. I hope something helps you. I'll keep you guys updated on this, man. It's Bermuda. It'll be back in business in no time, right? So I'll keep you guys updated on it. Until the next time, be good, man. I mean it seriously. I don't just say it. Get out there and do something nice for someone that isn't expecting it. Just be good out there. Be cool. All right. I'll talk at you later.